What if the biggest mistake you're making isn't being lazy? It's making yourself easy to replace. The truth is, the world doesn't reward the hardest worker or even the smartest one. It rewards the person no one else can become. And the strange part, most people spend their entire lives doing the exact opposite without ever realizing it. By the end of this video, you'll understand the hidden principle that separates people who are forgotten from those the world can never replace. If the people around you could replace you tomorrow, would they even hesitate? That question stings because somewhere deep inside, almost everyone has felt it. At work, in relationships, among friends, even within families, we spend years trying to become more successful, more likable, more talented, believing that one day our value will be so obvious that no one could imagine life without us. But the world doesn't work that way. Companies replace executives. Teams replace star players. Technology replaces entire professions. History is filled with brilliant people who were once considered essential, until they weren't. So what makes someone truly impossible to replace? The answer isn't what most people think. It isn't talent. It isn't intelligence. It isn't working longer hours than everyone else. In fact, the people who become impossible to replace often look ordinary from the outside. They don't always have the highest IQ. They aren't always the loudest voice in the room. They don't chase attention. Yet somehow, when they leave, everything changes. Their absence creates a vacuum that no resume, degree, or promotion can instantly fill. The strange secret is this: people become irreplaceable, not because they do more than everyone else. They become irreplaceable because they become someone no one else can become. That sounds simple. It isn't. Because from the day we're born, we're taught the opposite. Fit in, follow the rules, think like everyone else. Choose the safe path. Blend into the crowd. School rewards the correct answer. Society rewards conformity. Social media rewards imitation. Before long, many people aren't building a life anymore. They're building a copy. And copies are always replaceable. Imagine walking through a forest where every tree has been cut into the exact same shape. At first, it looks organized, predictable, perfect. Then a storm arrives. The trees that survived weren't the ones that looked identical. They were the ones whose roots grew differently beneath the surface. Real value is hidden underground. Psychologists have long studied what separates extraordinary performers from average ones. Surprisingly, it isn't motivation that keeps showing up. Motivation rises and falls like the weather. Some mornings it disappears completely. What consistently predicts long-term success is identity, not what you do, who you believe you are. Behavior follows identity, the way a shadow follows a body. Someone who says, "I'm trying to become disciplined," is fighting themselves every day. Someone who believes, "I am a disciplined person," no longer negotiates with every decision. The same action suddenly requires less energy because it aligns with who they believe they are. That shift changes everything. Most people spend years polishing their skills while ignoring the person holding those skills together. It's like constantly upgrading the software while neglecting the operating system. Eventually, everything crashes. There's an old story about two stonecutters working side by side. Someone asked the first man what he was doing. He answered, "I'm cutting stones." The second man was asked the same question. He smiled and replied, "I'm building a cathedral." They were performing the exact same task, but psychologically, they weren't living the same life. One focused on labor, the other focused on purpose. Purpose changes endurance. Purpose changes creativity. Purpose changes resilience. When setbacks come, and they always do, the person working for a paycheck often quits. The person building a cathedral keeps going because the obstacle isn't bigger than the vision. This explains why some people seem almost impossible to discourage. They aren't fueled by emotion. They're fueled by meaning. Neuroscientists have discovered something fascinating about the brain. When people connect their daily actions to a larger purpose, entirely different motivational systems become active. Challenges begin to feel less like threats and more like meaningful investments. Pain doesn't disappear, it becomes easier to carry. Think about the people you've admired throughout your life. Maybe it was a teacher who changed the way you thought, a coach who saw potential before anyone else did, a parent who quietly sacrificed opportunities so you could have yours. Years later, you probably don't remember every word they said, but you remember how they made you feel. That's another secret hidden in plain sight. Skills create transactions. Character creates memories. Anyone can complete a task. Very few people consistently leave others stronger than they found them. That's the kind of value algorithms can't automate. It's the kind of presence organizations spend years searching for. Because technical knowledge can be taught, character cannot simply be downloaded. Here's where most people make a costly mistake. They chase importance instead of usefulness. Importance wants recognition. Usefulness creates impact. The most valuable people in any room are rarely asking, "How can I impress everyone here?" They're quietly asking something much more powerful. How can I make everyone else better? It's a subtle difference, but subtle differences create extraordinary outcomes. Consider two employees who begin the same job on the same day. The first focuses entirely on finishing assigned tasks. The second becomes curious. They learn how different departments work. They solve problems no one asked them to solve. They remember people's names. They notice patterns others ignore. They become the person coworkers instinctively seek whenever something unexpected happens. 5 years later, they may hold the same title, yet one has become almost impossible to replace. Not because they worked harder, because they became more connected. Gangs multiply value. Isolated talent has limits. Integrated value becomes indispensable. Behavioral scientists often describe this through networks, rather than individual performance. The strongest influence in any system isn't always the biggest part. Sometimes it's the bridge connecting everything else together. Remove that bridge, and suddenly the entire structure struggles. That's how true influence works. Not through power, through connection. Yet there's another layer that makes this even more surprising. Many people spend their lives trying to eliminate every weakness. It sounds logical. Until you realize greatness rarely comes from having no weaknesses. It comes from developing strengths so distinctive that your weaknesses become less important. Think about the greatest artists, inventors, entrepreneurs, and leaders. None of them were perfect. Many were deeply flawed. Some struggled socially. Others failed repeatedly. Some were rejected more times than anyone believed possible. Yet history remembers them because they contributed something that couldn't simply be copied. Perfection is forgettable. Originality leaves fingerprints, and originality demands courage, because the moment you stop copying everyone else, criticism becomes inevitable. People trust familiarity. Anything different feels uncomfortable at first. That's why so many dreams die before they're even tested. Not because they lacked potential, because they couldn't survive the temporary discomfort of standing alone. Every breakthrough begins as an unpopular idea. Every remarkable life begins as an unusual decision. The crowd almost never applauds while you're becoming extraordinary. They applaud after you've already become it. Remember that, because there will come a moment when playing it safe feels easier than becoming yourself. That moment decides more futures than talent ever will. The people who become impossible to replace aren't fearless. They're simply unwilling to trade their uniqueness for temporary approval. And that decision starts changing everything long before anyone else notices. And that decision starts changing everything long before anyone else notices. The transformation is almost invisible at first. No applause, no promotion, no viral moment, just a quiet shift in the way you think when no one is watching. While everyone else is asking, "What do I need to do today?" you begin asking a different question. What kind of person am I becoming? That question rewires your life, because the quality of your future is hidden inside the quality of your identity. Every habit becomes a vote. Every difficult conversation becomes a vote. Every promise you keep to yourself becomes another vote. Not for the life you have, but for the person you're becoming. Most people underestimate this because they're addicted to immediate results. They plant a seed today and expect a tree tomorrow. When nothing happens, they assume nothing is growing, but the strongest trees spend years building roots no one can see. Your life works exactly the same way. Long before success becomes visible, character is being constructed in silence, and silence is where most people quit. They mistake invisibility for failure. But invisibility is often where greatness begins. Think about a sculptor standing before a massive block of marble. To everyone passing by, it looks like meaningless strikes with a hammer. Dust falls. Tiny fragments scatter across the floor. Hour after hour, nothing remarkable appears to change. Then suddenly, a face emerges. People praise the final masterpiece. Almost nobody appreciates the thousands of invisible blows that made it possible. Your habits are those invisible blows. Your decisions are the hammer. Your character is the sculpture. The masterpiece is never created in a single dramatic moment. It's revealed through thousands of ordinary choices. Here's something fascinating. Behavioral scientists have found that high performers don't rely on stronger willpower nearly as much as people assume. Instead, they remove unnecessary decisions. They simplify, they automate, they create environments where doing the right thing becomes easier than doing the wrong thing. That's why successful people often seem unbelievably consistent. Not because they possess magical discipline, because they've designed their lives. So discipline isn't constantly being tested. Imagine two people trying to stay healthy. One keeps junk food on every shelf and fights temptation every hour. The other changes their environment. The temptation almost disappears. Who do you think succeeds longer? The battle isn't always against yourself. Sometimes it's against the environment you've accepted. And the same principle applies to becoming irreplaceable. If your surroundings constantly reward average thinking, average becomes comfortable. If everyone around you settles, settling begins to feel normal. Human beings unconsciously imitate the expectations of the people closest to them. That's both terrifying and empowering, because it means your future isn't determined only by your choices. It's influenced by the standards you tolerate. Look closely at your circle. Do the conversations challenge your thinking, or merely entertain your comfort? Do the people around you celebrate growth or quietly resent it? Success leaves clues. So does mediocrity. Both are contagious. There's an old saying that rarely gets the attention it deserves. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Think about that. Goals create direction, systems create reality. Anyone can dream about becoming exceptional. Very few build daily systems that make exceptional behavior inevitable. That's the difference. One hopes, the other prepares, and preparation quietly defeats talent every single day. History proves it again and again. Some of the most extraordinary breakthroughs didn't happen because someone was the smartest person alive. They happened because someone stayed curious longer than everyone else. Curiosity is an underestimated superpower. It keeps your mind flexible. It protects you from arrogance. The moment you believe you've learned enough, your growth begins to die. The world changes too quickly for certainty. Technology evolves. Industries disappear. Skills become outdated. Entire careers transform within a few years. Yet one quality never loses value: the ability to learn faster than circumstances change. That's what separates people who survive from people who thrive. Knowledge has an expiration date. Learning does not. The most valuable person in the room isn't always the one who knows the most. It's the one who can adapt the fastest. Think about water. It has no fixed shape. Pour it into a glass, it becomes the glass. Pour it into a river, it flows around every obstacle. Freeze it, it becomes solid. Heat it, it becomes invisible vapor, powerful enough to move engines. Its strength isn't rigidity, its strength is adaptability. People who become impossible to replace learn the same lesson. They don't cling to old identities simply because those identities once brought success. They evolve before they're forced to, and that's uncomfortable. Because growth asks you to abandon versions of yourself that once felt safe. The habits that got you here may not take you where you're capable of going. The confidence you needed 5 years ago may now be limiting your potential. Sometimes the next chapter begins by letting go of the previous one. That sounds inspiring. In reality, it feels terrifying. Our brains are wired to prefer familiarity over possibility. Even painful routines feel safer than uncertain opportunities. That's why people stay in careers that drain them, relationships that diminish them, beliefs that no longer serve them, not because they enjoy suffering. Because certainty feels less frightening than change. But every meaningful transformation begins with uncertainty. The caterpillar doesn't negotiate with the cocoon. It surrenders to the process. The old version must disappear before the new one can exist. Your identity works the same way. Every extraordinary life contains multiple endings. The end of old excuses, the end of old fears, the end of pretending to be smaller than you really are. And every ending creates space for a beginning. There's another quality shared by people who become unforgettable: reliability. Not excitement, not charisma. Reliability. In a world filled with inconsistency, showing up repeatedly becomes almost revolutionary. Anyone